Hi everybody, Mark Carey here. Welcome to Steeple View Farm. You know, today is one of those great autumn days where the sky is blue and filled with white fluffy clouds, where the ground is starting to be littered with those beautiful yellow leaves. There's a little bit of coolness to the air, but quite a breeze. We're outside. I hope the wind doesn't drown out too much of what we're doing today. But here it is, autumn in Kentucky, and as you probably know, Harriet and I are looking for projects to make the most of the farm, to get the most out of this place that we love so much. You know, when our boys were young, we raised a few chickens and raised our own eggs. We made use of an old chicken coop that we found on the farm that had been here probably longer than I'd been on the earth. And in addition to that, we found another old chicken coop, one that had probably been used after the first one had fallen into disrepair. We fixed up the old chicken coop and we raised our own little flock of laying hens for a while and enjoyed some great eggs here on the farm. As the chickens passed away and as the old chicken coop fell into a state of disrepair, we stopped fixing it up. So this fall, we're starting a new project. We're going to build our new chicken coop here on the farm, and today I'm going to take you around, show you some of the places where they used to keep chickens, show you the old coop, and then we're going to begin the process of building our new chicken coop here at Steeple View Farm. Today, a little bit of a history. In part one of the building our own chicken coop video, today we're going to talk about out with the old. So stay with us here as we build our new chicken coop at Steeple View Farm. Oh, by the way, you know the Green Acres theme? Yeah, I am a lawyer, and Miss Harriet does like to shop, so there are some similarities. Besides which, I didn't know what I was doing when I came down here, and I still don't know a lot. I'm learning a lot from a lot of different places thanks to the internet and backyardchickens.com. So stay with us while we build our new chicken coop. Come on, let's walk around the farm a little bit, and I'll show you where they used to keep chickens here a long, long time ago. The coop we used to use is this old building that was really pretty dilapidated. We put some new siding on part of it and put a new roof on it. I fixed up a way to get in and out without letting all the chickens out, and we built a chicken lot out back. I'll show you all that. But this is the building that we used. It's been here a long, long time, I'm sure. Coop we used had a lot of problems from the very beginning, but I made a few improvements to it, and for a while it worked okay. Come on inside. Take a look inside our door where we've pretty much identified this as the place where you get your fresh eggs. In the beginning, the coop was just this one big room, and as you can see across the way over there, they had their roosts made out of poles. What I added was the chicken wire and some framing and a door that allowed us to get into the room where the roosting took place and where the nesting took place. That meant we could come and go into the chicken coop without letting the chickens out the front door. As you can probably tell, they went out that little door back there in the back into a lot that I'll show you in a minute. But as you can tell, the floor is deteriorated despite the fact that we put a new roof on it. And so for probably the last 20 years there hasn't been any nesting or egg laying going on in here at all. We've used it pretty much as a kindling shed. It's dilapidated and an old building. As nice as it might be, and I like old stuff like this, you know, we're going to have to tear her down and we're going to build something new and fancy. But this is what we started with. This is where we raised our chickens. And I guess you can see that hanging there, the handle and the wire. Well, that's how I used to get a hold of them by the leg so I could trim their wings to keep them from flying the coop. We re-sided this side of the coop at one point. It had pretty much fallen apart. I really do like it. I mean, I still like the looks of it myself because it's such an old building and it has neat lines to it, and I like that old barn siding, but Mama says she wants something a little bit nicer and a little bit newer, so I guess we're going to reconstruct the whole thing here before too long. But this side here, we tore that siding off of an old barn on the property and reused it. It turned out okay. It held up for a long time. A lot of chickens gave us a lot of good pleasure out of this building. That's the last post of a little garden gate that my dad made for us in his woodworking shop. It fell into disrepair. This was back in the days before people were using much in the way of treated lumber. And so we built it out of regular lumber and it didn't last. Here's the back of the chicken coop, and right up that area there, all the way up to that old tree, we had that old place in there lined off with chicken wire, which is not a really good choice for keeping chickens in or varmints out, but this was the run and this was the lot, and this is where we let the chickens play outside to kind of free range themselves in behind that old building there. But this was the coop and this was the run. We're going to use this area as a run again and as a chicken lot, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. This little building on the farm was here when we moved in. We took it over and made a garden shed out of it for a while. It had what looked to be maybe a rabbit hutch inside. Could have been where they raised some chicks. There was electricity in this coop, no electricity in the other one. They may have raised the chicks in here and incubated them, don't know. But this little building has fallen into disrepair as a part of the construction project. Well, we've got all the tools out working with each other in the yard this fall. We're going to replace this building as well and make another garden shed out of it. I kind of like it as an artifact. Actually, I'd almost be perfectly pleased to leave it sit there and continue to go back to the earth where it came from. Here's another view of the little shed, and we put a little bit of a flower garden in here. Of course, this is late in the year and the flowers are pretty much done. Apples are pretty much done. Time to get busy with some hammers and nails. The old farmer who had the place before us had a little dairy operation, and he would bring his cattle in here and milk them. We now use this as a loafing shed and a place to feed our horses. But this little old place on the side of this barn is pretty indicative of the way they used to milk cows. He had the old head gates he'd put them in and milk them by hand. So as you can tell, this farm's had a lot of work done on it. This little white building you see right outside was where he stored his milk and I guess cooled it in the cooler before they came and picked it up. The old feed barn on the property's had a lot of different uses over the years. We had some stalls built for our horses. We store our ATVs in it. There have been a number of deer hanging in here over the years when we've been lucky enough to harvest something for the freezer. Come on inside. I'm going to show you up these steps here where they probably kept some chickens years ago. I know my chickens liked getting up in there when they would get out of the coop. They found these rafters inside a really good place to roost for the night. Up here in the old barn at the top of the steps, there's a pen, all covered in hardware cloth with a door on it. And inside that pen, believe it or not, you can see hanging down from the ceiling up there, appears to be some sort of a roosting pole. Now, I can't imagine why you'd put something in that pen with no roof on it. There was some old roofing tin laid across up there, but none of it seemed to stay very well. I think this might have been another place they kept chickens. One of the reasons why I think they kept chickens in here is over in the corners, there are these braces that appear to have had nesting boxes of some sort built in them. Something is still currently nesting in those corners. And again, there's this roosting pole of some sort tied up in here. Can't imagine any other reason for that to be here. Don't think he kept pigeons. And obviously it's not for ducks. I've given a fair amount of thought to how I want the chicken coop to be designed. I've been on the websites. I've looked at a lot of different coops. Ours is going to be a coop that's made out of two rooms, one for humans and one for chickens. The human room is basically going to be where we store our bedding and our feed and our tools and our medicines, where we collect the eggs and where we put them in cartons, where we clean them before we take them into the house. A place for us to work and get into where we don't have to actually be in the coop with the chickens themselves. The other room's just going to have a storm door on it between the two. That's the cheapest door I could find, but we're going to buy a new storm door and put it up there. And we're going to have a coop room, and in the coop room, of course, will be our nesting boxes and the roost. I'm going to put a couple of windows in the coop room facing south and east. I think the east-facing window will help my chickens get up and at it early in the morning. The south-facing window will allow some heat to come in there. We're going to insulate it and hopefully keep them warm during the winter. My preference is barred Plymouth Rock chickens. I like those. My grandmother had a little ceramic statue on her bookshelf when I was a boy, I remember, and when she passed away I got that little statue. It's been in my office ever since. So it's a barred Plymouth Rock chicken, and I'm going to try and have some of those around here. They make great eggs, and they're also pretty cold weather hardy, I'm told. So that would be the next phase, is actually getting the chickens, which we'll try to do sometime early in the spring. But in the meantime, the process is going to be a little bit of a sad day when we begin to tear down the old chicken coop. Might try to reuse some of the siding off of it, might try to reuse certain parts of it just for nostalgia purposes. But we're going to build a new coop. We're going to have an automatic chicken door so that in the event we wanted to sleep in on a snowy cold morning, we wouldn't have to get up and let them out. And we're going to build a little bit better chicken lot for them out back than they had before, where they can free range organic chickens and organic eggs. Can't wait for that process. In the meantime, this old farmer becomes a carpenter this fall, so stay with us. This was part one, Out with the Old, and we'll show you as we progress, or whatever you want to call it when you're tearing down something that's been around for a long, long time.
Green and we are.